Hello everyone, my name is Pacha and welcome back to another episode of Tiergarten Edelwald and our second episode of the Rhinoceros Park, the Rhino Park, here in our zoo based on the Rhino Park in the zoo of Schönbrunn, Vienna Zoo. And in the last episode, if you haven't watched it, we've built the outdoor exhibit for the Indian rhinos, as well as for Blackbucks, Nilgai, and the Père David steer. It's a gigantic enclosure. It's really cool. I think it's around, in my game, it's around 5,000 square meters. In real life, it's around 6,000 square meters. Again, I don't know where they left the last 1,000 square meter, but ayo. But yeah, this episode today, we are gonna move away from the outside area into the inside area, because in this episode we are gonna build, as you already saw from the title, we're gonna build the Rhino house. Now, originally, this was not the only thing I planned to build in this episode, because when I started recording for this video last week on Thursday, if you don't know, I always start recording on Thursday and usually finish on Friday, somewhat around that time. I first started with building the backstage areas for all the ungulates in this exhibit, so everything that isn't a rhino, basically. And I also recorded that. I have the recording on my PC. So if anyone wants to see them, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see this very short special episodes. In that case, where I just built the backstage building for the ungulates. But yeah, I started recording that on Thursday, and it took around 2 hours or something like that. It wasn't really a difficult build, but it's a cool build. You will see it later in the real-time part. But then I was finished for the day, and I went over to on Friday to record the building of the Rhino house. And originally, I thought building this house here that you see here now would be easier to do than the giraffe building. It didn't have a complicated roof or anything, like a curved roof, stuff like lots of glass or things like that. It was just, from what I saw, what it just was a bunch of half circles behind each other, because what we are doing here at the moment is the outside wall, then there will be an inside wall, and then behind that there will be the actual rhino house. So what we are doing here right now is basically the visitor area wall, basically. You'll see once we get to the other parts what I mean by that. But I started recording this and building this, and this was pretty easy doing this. I'm very knowledgeable, I can say that, I think myself with the mud pillar technique. So with creating circular builds, I have done it multiple times in the past. Also for the giraffe house a lot of times, so it was nothing complicated for me. So I thought, easily doable in one day, or easily doable in a couple hours, the whole build, things like that, and then I'm finished at Saturday, can cut and work on the video, and then finish up for next week. Now, from watching this footage already and not seeing me construct the ungulate backstage building, you can basically I think guess what happened and what didn't happen, or what the problem is. And that is that I hugely and vastly underestimated this building, this house, how much layer this has, how complicated it is, and how long it takes to build this house. I mean, in the end, with everything, with building only the house itself, not the ungulate house, but the house itself, all the other stuff, the foliage and things like that, I think I spent around 10 hours in total building the whole house, just the house itself, and all the foliage and decoration. I think 10 hours. 4 of these hours are not part of the speed build. You will later see some shifts or some things that haven't been built in the speed build. You will see them appear, basically, these being the ramps on both sides, because as you can see here, you see it pretty well, you can go on top of the rhino house. There's a path leading on to the top of the rhino house via 2 ramps on both sides of this building, and we basically decorated or cleaned up these ramps during last week's live stream, because these ramps, of course, have border trims. They're called trims if they are on the side of the road. I call them trims now, you know what I mean. But they have trims around them, and of course the one from the game for concrete is this brownish, yellowish wood texture, which doesn't look as nice, which doesn't look good. So I had to make my own trim out of in-game pieces to make it look better, and this took so much time. If you're watching this video within the first 2 weeks of it being released, you can probably still see my VOD of the stream over on Twitch. My streams get saved for 2 weeks, so if you want to see me struggle for 2 hours building this building, and the people who have been here can testament to that, it took a long time making these trims and everything finished and cleaning up everything, because it was such a Sisyphus work. I can't stress enough. You can be glad that I didn't put it into the video. Someone even commented during the stream that he hopes I don't put it into the video because he can't watch through it twice. It was a hassle. It was a struggle, but we did it and we managed it, and it looks good in the end now. So it was all worth. And then the second part that is not entire part of this speed build over here is all the foliage. I mean, we have the foliage on the outside walls, or the ivy and things like that. But all the trees and things that surround this building are not part of the speed build, because it took me another 2 hours making that would have made this video, I think, at least over an hour long. I already cut it down to 30 minutes, and that was already with cutting out very much a lot of stuff that was repeatable. So keeping all the foliage work in, it would have made this video too long. And I mean, I know some people like to see the foliage work, and I can understand that, but we are building the main building, or the main construction in this video. The foliage is basically just a bunch of trees and ground plants like grass and things like that. Nothing too special basically there, just we are prettying up the surrounding area, because you can't see it from this footage now, but this whole building, this whole monstrosity of a rhino house is built to the side of a hill, basically also being inside of a hill, because part of it lie inside of the hill, making it, of course, the parts that in the back, making them a lot more cooler in hot summer days, which is nice. But this whole building is basically part of a hill, which brings the problem that you can't really see where it ends, how big it is in the totality. It was complicated. I mean, the first two parts we're building here now, this is a viewing gallery and for the guests, so they can go into the inside. And the reason that it has a roof over it, or it has a second wall to the outside with all the ivy, is, for one, of course, it saves or it protects the visitors from the weather, because when it rains or snows, they can go inside and they can see the rhinos. But it is also deliberately placed in the dark. There are no lights in there, because the rhinos Indian rhinos are very skittish creatures. They are very, they can easily be afraid, they can easily be startled by a lot of noise, a lot of people. So we're keeping the inside of the visitor area dark, so that the rhinos, if they're inside the house, can't really see the guests, or can't have a hard time seeing them, thus making them feel safe, making them feel isolated, while the visitors can still admire them. So in that sense, that they don't get startled, they don't get scared by the visitors, etc. So that is the reason why there are two walls, why there is an indoor area, visitor area for the guests. And which is also really cool, that this house is totally isolated from the outside world, or from the visitor world. In normal, or the typical rhino house basically is that similar to an elephant house or a hippo house, all types of pachyderm houses, that you can go inside. You can go inside the house, and basically the only thing that separates you from the animal is a barrier. Usually just some bars, basically, because of big animals. You only need some big bars that hinder them from moving, but you can go inside the rhino house, the giraffe house, things like that, and see the animals, and they can see you, they can hear you, you can hear them, basically that. For this the rhino house does different is that the visitors can't go into the rhino house. They can go into this outside walkway, and they can go on top of the rhino house, but they can't go into the actual rhino house where the stalls are. They are separated by that with these glass panels, these glass walls. basically separating the rhino, isolating them from the visitors, which is really nice because, as I said, rhinos are easily afraid. They are very skittish creatures despite them being so huge and powerful, but yeah, keeping them separated from the guests helps them feel safer, helps them feel secure, and that yeah, in terms is beneficial for the health and the psychology of these rhinos. So it's very good to have this in these yeah, outer layer of guest viewing places, basically, which also, of course, are, as I said, kept in the dark, so that the rhinos can't see them even less, basically. But yeah, what I was talking about, why we're now building the windows on top of this house to get some natural light into it, because otherwise it's pretty dark, it is built into the side of a hill, meaning outside, apart from the outside ring wall, as I want to call them, you can't really see how far this building goes. There aren't also not really plans of this building. There are some plans from a website called RHINOS of Europe, which looks like hand-drawn schematics, which appear also to be a little bit yeah, wrong in a couple places. So it wasn't the best way to go and to look at it or to see how this is structured. Also because yeah, so there are some faults with it, and it doesn't even show the outside visitor area, so it is very hard to work with. And all I had basically of this building, because there are not really any blueprints by the zoo itself or things like that, were some pictures that were taken, and of course all these pictures are taken from the visitor area, not from the inside of this place. I kind of knew how the stall was structured, but how deep it is, what other rooms they are, where the yeah, keeper rooms are, what other structures are in there, if there are maybe some mechanical rooms or things like that, how far, how wide and deep it is. All these things are not really available for me, or at least I didn't found anything. So I had to do a lot of guesswork and trying to come up with what's the best solution and the most logical solution for this building was. And I think I succeeded in that regard pretty much. I hope so. At least it does look good, and the dimensions look good. But yeah, it was a lot of struggle. And this also, yeah, didn't help with the tight schedule that I have of finishing this video and the recording of it by Friday, and getting things up. After the stream on Friday, I even recorded some more footage up until I think 2 in the morning. So to get everything finished, and then even that didn't include all the foliage parts. This I did on the next day in the evening, again until 2 in the morning. So this was really a mammoth project, or a rhino project to keep with the theme. So yeah, there is a lot of work put into this rhino house, but as you probably already saw from the intro cinematic, it was definitely worth it. At least in my mind, it was definitely worth it. It looks fantastic. It could, some areas are still, yeah, could still be a little bit changed, and could be a little bit more detailed and things like that, especially the inside of the rhino house where the stalls are, could use some more finishing, some more detailing. But as it is right now, as it stands right now, it works, it looks good, it makes a logical sense, a realistic sense from how the rhinos get in there and things like that. So that works wonders. And yeah, as I said, I worked a lot with mud pellet technique. Now it's the third circle, and I think also the last circle. And the thing is, I probably already talked about it, I did talk about it a couple times here on the channel, is that I have no problem with working with geometric figures. If something is clearly geometrical, if it's a cube or a rectangle or a circle, I have no problem working with that. I have no problem recreating that and things like that. But as soon as buildings or structures become, yeah, wibbly wobbly, I think I want to call this time, or not geometrical, or half geometrical, half just winging the form. I get a little bit of struggle. I have a huge problem with thinking three-dimensionally. I don't know why it is, which of course doesn't look like that I do with when I'm building here. But if it comes to forms that are not clearly geometrical, they're not clear straight lines or round lines, then it becomes a hard problem for me to really fit them into place, if that makes sense. And this is the case for this building. Of course, we start with 3 half circles, which is easy enough. But then what we do here is we add a second row of windows, and these are not formed in the same circle as the other one before. Now they are placed in the circle in the other direction. They are reversed circle motion. Even that really, the real one doesn't really have a circle motion. I just placed them in the circle pattern. Basically, see it in a second. They are very different in terms of the direction from the other windows, basically, and this proved for me a huge problem to make them fit really. Then, of course, behind it, it's not a full circle. Behind it goes further into a square. The back side or the back wall of this building is straight. It's not a circle, and of course, I didn't have any dimension how far this building goes, how big it is. So I had also to wing that. There was a lot of problems that I didn't saw initially with this building, and I have to say now after the giraffe house, maybe my statement of the giraffe house that it was my biggest build, most complicated build, whatever I said there, might not be true. I highly overestimated that and underestimated this build. So both of them, I would say, now are, you see now they are built in the other direction of the circle now, and even that is just me doing it simpler than it actually is, because in the real life they are more straight but also curved. It is really, it's nuts. But anyway, this building definitely, it looks simpler from the outside, but building it, also the whole roof ordeal here, things like that, it definitely felt more complicated than what I did with Giraffe House, and that was already complicated with the whole roof and things like that. So there was a lot going on, and I'm happy now that it's finished. Again, the end result looks fantastic. It looks great. I think it looks great. Of course, we only built the visible stables for the rhinos. I will not go into detail in all the keeper areas, the food preparation areas, the storage areas. They are just basically implied. Also because there's a lot of pieces sticking down from the roof of this building. Because, as I said, as you can see here, the roof can be walked on. The guests can go over the roof. They even have to go over this roof if they come from the second entrance of the zoo. They have to go over this roof because otherwise they can't reach the rest of the zoo. So this roof has path on it, and it has two layers. We saw the one with the path as the first layer, and then we went up a little bit of you can go up a couple of stairs or a ramp to a second layer where all these windows are, and on that layer, which we are now closing up now, there is a cafe up there, a little food court basically, where you can get some snacks. I think the real zoo sells some bowls, but here you see in the background I already did all the trimming for the ramp. You see to the left and to the right in the background I did all the trimming for this building, because it would have taken so much time that you wouldn't be happy with me anymore. You would not subscribe anymore to this channel, so I did it during the stream. But there's a cafe on the roof of this building where you can get some drinks. You have a nice view onto the Rhino Park from there, which is super awesome. I didn't went there, but apparently they sell a couple bowls, so Asia bowls and things like that, udon bowls, for example. I think they sell stuff like that there. Basically keeping with the Asia theme of this area, which is really cool. So there's also this possibility. If you ever are in the real zoo of Schönbrunn, I would recommend going up there if you in need of a little snack or something like that. Otherwise, they have that covered throughout the whole zoo very well. But we are now basically finishing touches. We did all the outside work, we did all the barriers, and during the stream I cleaned everything up so it looks nicer. I know I'm a little bit sorry that I have to left some things out, like all the foliage, like the trimming, but to keep this video as short, it isn't really short, it's still over half an hour, but to keep this video to a reasonable length, I had to cut these things out. Again, if you want to see me building the backstage building for the ungulates, for the Blackbuck, Nilgai, and Père David's deer, or the buildings, because there are multiple, but I only recorded me building it once, and then the other ones are basically just copies of that building. as again you see it in the real-time part. If you want to see that footage, I can upload it as a speed build, probably with less commentary, just a minimal commentary if anything, and just some music, but it would be probably 5 to 10 minutes long, something like that. Let me know in the comments if you would like that. It's doable, I can do it and just post it once I'm done. But yeah, it sadly had to be cut to make this video work as it does, and I'm not happy about it, but in the end I think it's better than having this huge video and me talking over 15 minutes throughout it. It definitely is better than doing that. But yeah, I will now leave you, probably, yeah, leave you already. Now I think we can still talk about it, a couple of things. For example, now we are building, yeah, these barriers, basically something very typical for rhino houses and pachyderm houses in general, is having these wood beams around certain structures, like the beams over here, which hold up the structure, so rhinos shouldn't damage them, otherwise the visitor path would come crashing down. But having these wood beams against the walls and pillars and things like that to protect them basically from the rhino, especially from the rhinos, because the rhinos can, if they charge hard. It is not a pleasant experience for anyone, but yeah, they basically keep them away from that. I think that is the purpose. If anyone works with zoos or has more knowledge about that and says no, they these wood pillars, wood barriers have a different purpose. Maybe they are to make the rhino feel less threatened or feel more natural. I don't know. But in my mind, it's probably because they are there to protect for one, they protect the animals, because we don't use metal pillars, which could damage the animals, which can hurt the animals, not damage them. Also damage them, but hurting them. And they are, yeah, so they're made of wood, which is more, a little bit less hard, basically. And also they're there to protect the structures from damage from the animals, which of course isn't what you really want. If you have an angry rhino, you don't want them to crashing into the wall, breaking the wall, things like that. We also have some hints towards the more classical buildings of the zoo with this yellow wall, which isn't the exact yellow as the buildings in the zoo, but it is a little bit of a hint or a little bit of a nod towards the more classical buildings in the zoo, which is really nice. And yeah, as I said, here you see some of the ramp work, but it's only in this little part of me using the the fencing to go down there, which then that side connects to the rest of the zoo, which at the moment is very empty. Not at least the middle part of between this and the old part of the zoo is really empty. But also with this building done, it concludes basically our little India section on this side of the zoo. And from then we can move on again to new projects. Maybe it's again in the old parts of the zoo. There's still, I think, there's one habitat left. I have to build in that part next to some general structures, and then we have to fill out the middle part of the zoo between the rhino area and the old part. We have to fill out that. I already have some cool ideas, also ideas inspired by Copenhagen Zoo, which I went to this year, which I already kind of want to plan. And there are some things coming up in the horizon. Also, I think I can already talk about it. There probably will be some changes, but I will talk about it once it happens. There will be some changes around in September to November. There will be have to be some changes to the upload schedule of this channel, because I have a little bit of a heavier workload on me. I have a little bit of more stuff to do for my real life job, so I might have to shift the upload schedule to maybe bi-weekly upload schedule, so a video every 2 weeks instead of every week. But I have to see how it works out, and what I can do, what I have to change to make this possible. I still want to do the videos, but maybe I have to switch some things around and change some things up to basically not stress myself out from real life work and YouTube work. But again, I will talk about it once it comes up, once it happens, and once I found the a solution for that, basically. But yeah, now I will leave you to the rest of the video with some music while we finish up the inside of the rhino house with this little pool area. We will have 2 separate stalls. Again, you have to separate rhinos, especially Indian rhinos, if they're not in breeding season, because they are very territorial, they're solitary animals, and they can be very aggressive towards each other. So we have to separate them with 2 indoor areas, basically, here, which we are now building. And then I will see you in the end time part, where you will see the fully decorated, fully foliaged building in its totality. So definitely stick around for that. It definitely is worth your time. I hope so, at least. But yeah, I see you in the end time part, and until then, enjoy the music, and thank you for listening so far. And now, after a very long speed build, we are finally here in our real-time part. But before we look at the Rhino house and the backstages for the ungulates, we have to do we have to give 3 names from you guys, the viewers, as suggestions. The first one coming from MaxDonalds101, who over on Twitch during our live stream asked if we could name the male Père David steer after his own name, Maxime, because this animal inspired his name in Planet Zoo, and we already did that during the stream. So just here to show you everyone, this is how we named him. And the second one comes from that Aussie bloke with a lovely comment, and they asked if we could name the male rhino Hercules, which of course is, I think, a very fitting name, as they are. Hercules is a strong hero, fitting with for a rhino, which is also known for its strength and size and things like that. So this is Hercules, our male rhino now. And the last one comes again from Bacon Bit Builder, a very active name suggester here on the channel, who with also a very lovely comment, and they asked if we could name a male Blackbuck Albert, with the story of him being that he was clever enough to escape from a circus before being rescued by the zoo, and then they named him Albert Einstein. It's a genius, basically, the German genius, because he was clever to escape. I think our albino Blackbuck fits very well, because a circus would have such a rare animal basically as a show stopper, and to then him escaping and things like that. I think it very well fits. But from that we now can jump over to the real-time part. I think I will do that part just in the orbit camera to show you quickly the backstages for the 3 animals, the Nilgai. There we see also already a Nilgai, Blackbuck, and Père David steer. I would suggest that these bigger ones are for Nilgai and Père David steer, and then over here we have the smaller one with a tad different layout, and I would say this one is for the Blackbuck, of course, behind here where the rhinos can't get to. But as I said, if you want to see me building one of these, I think I built this one, and then the other ones are basically just copies of it. Let me know in the comments, and I will upload that to YouTube after working on that video. But now let's jump into here, and we can turn around. I think I also don't need to hit play this time, because we're looking just at the structure. But this is our finished rhino building, of rhino indoor building. I think we can change the sun a little bit to make it look we have a good something like that, for example. Our finished rhino building. We can start up here where there is still work to be done as we progress further into the zoo. There's our zoo. Here, of course, we have the access for the keepers to get into the rhino stores and to bring stuff in. I definitely need some more decoration done here, some bicycles, some crates and things like that to make it really feel like they are keepers. You can already also see the little cafe hut on top of here. But if we follow the path, we get to our size chart from last episode. It moved to here, where you can measure yourself up to a Nilgai, Père David steer, and the Blackbuck. And then we of course get the viewing area over here with the pool and the structure itself with all the ivy overgrown. I deleted some pieces here and there so that it doesn't look like copy and paste, to make it look a little bit individual. I also moved some plants up that already grew over the barriers and things like that. And then of course we have all the Nepalese prayer flags, the Buddhism prayer flags. I think they're Buddhist prayer flags up here, connecting from that tree to the building itself. I think it looks really cool. Gives us more little bit of theming and authenticity. My goodness, some words are really hard to pronounce coming from a German speaking than English. But we can now move into here. This is the access for the rhinos, the 2 areas, and then we can move into here where we have the visitor area with some rock walls in between. I think it wasn't the speed build to even more block the viewing for the rhinos so that they can't really see the visitors. I placed some plants, not that many. I wanted to keep it very simple to not overdo it, but definitely could be some more plants growing on here, maybe some grass or things like that. Maybe we'll change that. But yeah, you can basically walk all the way, see the first stall for one of the rhinos, and then the second one over here. There are some gates in between and some areas that you can separate them more if you need to. And then of course the keeper areas behind here, where I also need to put down some more props, some more tools and things like that to make it even look even better. But as it is right now, it's fairly complete, apart from, as I said, some more details. But yeah, this is the inside area. Now let's jump up here. I will just quickly do that as we walk along. Can I jump on the path from here? No, but I can from here. Haha. So we can walk up here. As I said, here there's still some work to be done. But as we come up here, we have, of course, the hut over here, the little cafe hut over there. And then we can walk alongside here, and we can see the animals also from up here. We can have a very good look over the whole habitat from this side, seeing all the animals in the distance, like the Père David here sleeping again in the mud, and the rhinos and all the blackbucks and things like that. And of course we can follow the path which brings us down to the other side that I showed last video, or we can go either up the stairs or the ramp if you are on a wheelchair, or if you don't like walking stairs. And this time we just have a little recreation area where you can sit down, you can have a nice time, or you can go to this area up here where you can buy, I think I placed some ice cream over there, so you can buy an ice cream. You can also sit down here, and then you can enjoy a view onto the rhinos, onto the whole area, or to this sections of the zoo which are still under progress. But yeah, you can also get a sneak peek down into the inner workings of the habitat itself. And there's still some space here, and I would like to place a statue, but I didn't really know what kind of statue. So if you have an idea or want to recommend something or want to build something that I could place here which would fit in that spot, let me know in the comments or let me know on Discord, and maybe I will take your idea and place it here. Maybe something Indian related or rhino related. Indian rhino, of course, not African rhino. But yeah, there could be something done over here. But yeah, if we now follow the path, of course, we come to this side, where I also placed a lot of foliage. This side you didn't really saw in the video. I placed all the barriers, all the trims, and you can basically walk this path down and come to the other side of the viewing area over here, with the male rhino yard on this side and the other pool on this. So yeah, this was basically it. Let me jump through the rhino enclosure. It's a little bit risky, but I think we can survive. And we come up on this side again, and this was our build for the rhinos. This was the rhino house, the rhino park, or Nashorn Park in German. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this video and this long showcase, looking at the clock now. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I see you in the next one. And until then, have a great time, stay safe, and goodbye, everyone.